Our Suburban Projects, number 83. Television. Do you know how there remains two types of earliest memories? There are observed some that you eventually recall only because they relayed and reinforced by your parents, and others, personally noteworthy enough to call as legitimate or real first memories. For years, Mom referred to my childhood with distinct detail. I would ask about my age when such events occurred. Her answer always spoke the same. "Oh, Brian, you were 2 then." I surmised that 2 topped off the prospectus of my life, and everything else sort of tailed off significance, even though memories of these earlier, more consequential events had long forever vanished into the baby crib graveyard of infantile senility. My first real memory happened during year 4, circa 1963. I developed a habit, infuriating Dad. Working from corners and edges, I learned to nimbly peel away wallpaper. I do not recall motive, but it felt good and seemed to satisfy an odd achievement of some kind. By the time Mom or Dad had caught up with my latest project, yards of paper ripped away, all at the bottom few feet of a given wall. I had not yet learned how to use a stepladder or march to house rules. Dad's initial screaming only appeared to provoke my practice. The peelings may well have resulted from constant household stress. Anyway, more rational approaches followed by way of progressive disciplines. Quickly precocious towards lenient measures, I made genuine attempts to leave Dad's walls alone. The penalty I remember most disdainfully involved a television moratorium. Providing context to gravity, I should note that unlike earlier generations, ours did not really maturate with stacked books by candlelight in front of us. Television became an attention magnet of encompassing proportions. When I reflect now, it served as post-pacifier by indoctrinating me from sandbox to Americana, a flip from supine to upright square, knob to noise, touch the planet. Joe Fope, the lone friendly black man to frequent our suburbia, would faultlessly pick from his satchel of tubes, fixing our set so we could watch blacks and whites fighting it out in nearby Boston and Providence, programming ever-shrinking worlds towards intractable ironies. Over time, I showed signs of successful wallpaper weaning and in turn managed to negotiate a compromise similar to partial parole. Although regular programming remained off limits, I won freedom to enter our living room to watch commercials. The ad I inclined to immediately, Red Rose Tea, featured a group of chimps dressed in clothing and handling instruments, as some rock music played in the background. I had sufficient acuity by then to understand personification humor, albeit insufficient to dare mock celestial references. When commercials ended, I processed orders to leave the room and play in the den, within earshot yet beyond viewing. To this day, my mental antennae have always fine-tuned themselves for advertising. Unlike many who claim to deny such influence upon their lives, I have always sought it out purposefully. Even the tackiest, witless beer, soda pop, or used car pitches at least leave their mark upon my disdain. Moreover, those unaware of my beginnings nevertheless cite ad characteristics of cartoons that I draw. Like my aforementioned dual infancy memory types, television also diverts ongoing memory continuum between lax inattention to studious discernment, beginning from kid umbilical tune-in until elderly unplugging. My television ban lifted immediately following the Kennedy assassination. As child, I could not properly frame the significance of this news event. I did catch on that silence mattered, and as custom obliged how to behave. Still, this behavior merely conformed to the grief of others. When 3 years old, death of adults pales when matched up against loss of a single dependent pet. Aside occasional sporting events, I no longer watch television. During these, I scrutinize formula and trend-driven advertisements to promote and maneuver contemporary mass culture, none appealing whatsoever. I believe that most programming ideology always has recycled brain sludge, and overexposure pigeonholes imagination. Nevertheless, the mere return of TV privileges and not coverage of the assassination itself underscored my earliest memory, while also shaping my fully developed sardonic outlook. Epitaph of newscaster sensationalist. Now I lay me down to sweeps, my satellite monitoring sold to keep. If I should die before I wake, display my wake at next station break. Your death happens and then other shit. Epithet, be my guest.